Hey, my name is Joe Mccann, and I've been a trader and a technologist for nearly 20 years. Most recently worked at Passport Capital, running their quant strategy for cryptocurrencies. I've been trading in general for almost 20 years, but I've been trading crypto pretty heavily for the past 3 or 4 years. I have been a big fan of open source technology and also applying open source as a philosophy to a lot of other things. And when it came to trading crypto, I just created a channel where I wanted to share my insights, my trades, things that I was seeing, the things that I was building in terms of custom signals and indicators. And it has really taken off. I've had a number of folks reach out to me and just say they've learned so much from my channel. And it's really just about sharing and providing some content. And also, it's fun. Last I checked, there's over 5,400 subscribers. Well, so I actually established it well over a year ago when I was first kind of evaluating Telegram as a bot platform. And I had probably 500 or 600 folks that had signed up for it, and I was posting charts and these types of things. And then I kind of just stopped posting, mainly because of work at the time. It was pretty demanding, so I didn't have a lot of time to contribute to it. But just over the past 5 weeks, it's grown from about 600 to 5,400, which is pretty astonishing. Yeah, so I created also like a public chat as well because my channel is just broadcast only. And the public chat was created a few weeks ago and it has over 1,500 active traders in it as well. Very high signal to noise ratio. And it's people talking price. We're not in there talking about the fundamentals of blockchain or the new latest and greatest proof of stake protocol. This is about trading and it's about price and understanding the impacts to the broader crypto market. In addition to that, I've had a number of folks reach out to me kind of requesting, training, consulting, coaching. And so I've actually just started to develop a couple of workshops that I'll be delivering, one of which is actually on July 24th. With more coming, mainly just because I thoroughly enjoy teaching, but I've also built a lot of custom signals and indicators that folks will be able to actually gain access to by attending the workshops. The signals that I have built are they're proprietary to me, but they use data that's available to everybody. It's just how you actually consume the data, transform it, and make something meaningful from it. So for example, the most recent signal that I've built is a real-time funding rate indicator. And this is actually the subject of the first workshop that I'll be giving is how to trade effectively based on the funding rate. And so a lot of the derivatives exchanges like BitMEX, Deribit, et cetera, have a cross-margin funding rate. And that funding rate changes in real time on Deribit, for example, when there are more buyers than sellers or more sellers than buyers, right? The funding rate goes negative, it goes positive, et cetera. But what I've noticed is that when there are extreme outlier moves against, say, a rolling average of what the funding rate is, they are hyper accurate in terms of finding short-term bottoms and finding short-term tops. So a lot of the signals that I'm building are designed for more active trading, price action trading. But other signals that I have that I've had for quite some time now are more for swing trading. So you want to look for oversold or overbought conditions, and the signals will notify you and give you a better chance to not necessarily try to time the market, but have a little bit of an additional edge, if you will, when you're trading. The most fascinating thing to me about crypto is that, number one, it's 24/7, 365. Number two, there is no real advantage to colocation or targeting one exchange like you would do in the futures world or the equities world. So the idea of, say, high frequency trading or sub-microsecond execution speeds being kind of your advantage doesn't actually work in crypto. I would argue that the bigger, more important thing with trading in crypto is determinism. and being deterministic about the orders that you're sending and also the data that you're receiving back. And so by knowing how radically different this space is relative to what I would say legacy asset classes like futures or equities, the way you trade is fundamentally different, right? I mean, just the fact that it's 24/7 and there isn't really a window for settlement, for example, actually dramatically changes the landscape for how you need to trade. I actually had to end up building, strictly out of self-interest, a number of real-time sort of risk management monitoring systems so that I could sleep, right? Most people will set alarms and trigger those types of things, and that to me is just no way to live. So a lot of the stuff that I've been building and utilizing is completely out of self-interest and is testament to how radically different trading in crypto is relative to traditional asset classes. So for me, the biggest surprise so far has been the type of trader that shows up in crypto. It is not your traditional Wall Street guy that, you know, maybe went to an Ivy League school and then went to Wharton and got an MBA and interned at Merrill Lynch and then became a trader. Those paths still clearly exist in traditional markets, but for crypto, it's more along the lines of someone that's been playing video games for quite some time. The sort of archetype of individual who is a trader is someone that is more attuned to, you know, Fortnite or World of Warcraft or these sort of online games and transitioning that to trading crypto, which in the United States can kind of bastardize the idea of investing or trading. But if you go to areas like Southeast Asia, it's very common for folks to be, you know, day trading as entertainment. And so to me, it makes a lot of sense that we see this completely, you know, opposite end of the spectrum type of trader actually show up in the chat rooms and also have, you know, relatively a good sense of how markets actually trade. I would say that trading in general is very difficult and challenging, takes a lot of patience and experience. However, I will say that the difference between trading crypto relative to other asset classes is that crypto is one of the most formulaic markets I've ever seen. And the reason is that there are no fundamentals that underlie these assets. The only fundamental is price. And because price is the only metric that actually really matters at this point, what you end up with is behavioral economics applied to trading. And that alludes itself to technical analysis, because technical analysis is pretty much 100% behavioral in nature. And because crypto is a highly speculative and behaviorally driven market, technical analysis turns out to be exceptionally accurate. There's no silver bullet in trading. I'm not trying to say everybody should actually just use technical analysis and be done, but I've never seen a market in nearly 20 years play out so accurately with a lot of the traditional technical analysis setups, which to me makes total sense. It's because it's a behaviorally driven market. When Bitcoin reached 70% dominance sometime last week, it was happening without making a new all-time high. And so that to me says that the alts are actually getting crushed relative to Bitcoin. And if you check the chart of any altcoin relative to Bitcoin, you see that that is actually the case. Where do I think it goes longer term? I think Bitcoin is a winner-take-most market, or I should say cryptocurrencies is a winner-take-most market. I would argue that Bitcoin has three major things that are benefiting it. It has a stronger Lindy effect, it's anti-fragile, and it has the first mover, and additionally to that, the largest network. And so for some other crypto asset or cryptocurrency to usurp that, that's a tall order to overcome. What that means for the dominance percentage is that it's likely to go up. Since we've sort of peaked at 70%, we've faded back a little bit, but we've more or less traded sideways in terms of dominance while price has been going down. So again, that says to me that when price starts to tick back up, unless the altcoins actually rise with the price of Bitcoin, you'll see Bitcoin start to rise well above 70%. Yeah, definitely. There are some guys out there that are pretty exceptional. What is also fascinating about them is you don't know who they are. So in crypto, there's a lot of anonymous traders. And I think there's a lot of good reason for that, because if you're exceptionally good at trading Bitcoin, you may not want to advertise that so much. So there's a guy that goes by, on Twitter, he goes by Thinking USD. His nickname is Flood. He's pretty incredible. There's a guy that goes by The Boot, who started with, I think, 0.3 Bitcoin and worked his way up to 3 million on BitMax, which is just unbelievable. And then there are other folks that are, sort of more on the traditional markets. There's a guy named Alex Kruger. He goes by Kruger Macro on Twitter. More classically trained guy that's been in the financial services space for quite some time, but has exceptionally sharp accuracy with how he sees the broader market and the price of Bitcoin. So where I kind of see myself, professionally when it comes to crypto going forward is I'm kind of open to a lot of options right now and opportunities. I'm currently still the chairman of the board of a software company called NodeSource, which is the Node.js company. And so that business is continuing to keep me busy to some extent, but I'm hands off. I'm no longer the CEO, so the day-to-day operations are handed over to the current CEO, which gives me a lot of time to actually evaluate what's next. And I'm entertaining some opportunities. You'll have to stay tuned, but ultimately, I would like to continue providing a lot of the educational services and the signals and indicators to the space, because as I do believe that there's a fundamentally different archetype of trader for crypto that is more like a video game player, I want to create the cheat codes and provide those to folks, give them the edge so that they can be more effective at trading crypto.